Welcome to today's video, where we will be exploring the inspiring story of one of the most iconic brands in the world, Adidas. From its humble beginnings in a small German town to its current status as a multi-billion-dollar company, Adidas has come a long way over the past century. Through this video, we'll take a closer look at the company's early struggles, its rise to prominence in the sports industry, and the innovative marketing strategies that propelled it to global success. We'll also delve into the various milestones in the brand's history, including the creation of its famous three-stripe logo and the introduction of groundbreaking technologies such as Boost and PrimeNet. So, whether you're a fan of the brand, an entrepreneur seeking inspiration, or simply interested in the evolution of one of the world's most recognized logos, you won't want to miss this exciting journey through the history of Adidas. Let's get started. Adi Dassler was born on November 3, 1900, to a low-income family in a small town in Bavaria, Germany. This was many years before the official founding of the Adidas company in 1949. Adi Dassler's father was a regular shoemaker, and his mother worked as a laundress at a local laundry. So he spent much of his childhood helping out in the workshop and eventually became a shoemaker himself. The family was poor and struggled to make ends meet, so in 1920, they decided to start their own shoemaking business. Adi Dassler, then only 20 years old, took over management. In the same building as their mother's laundry, the Dassler brothers, Adolf and Rudolf, ran a small shoemaking workshop that produced orthopedic shoes for athletes and house slippers. The business grew slowly due to the high demand for the slippers, but Adolf was obsessed with expanding the company. Many failed attempts later, he developed what would become a major innovation in the shoemaking industry. The Chellian brothers, who were regular blacksmiths and made the spikes for the shoe soles in their own workshop, were Adolf's business partners. As demand for the Dassler brothers' shoes increased daily, they were forced to move into a separate building to accommodate production. During the Olympic Games of 1936, American track runner Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals and set 5 world records while wearing the Dassler brothers' shoes because the brothers had developed and patented a new model of the spike shoe in 1928 along with Josef Weitzer. Dassler's signature 2 stripes made their debut on Owens' shoes, and soon many Olympic competitors were donning the company's footwear for their competitions. This was a bold move at the time. After all, few people would have guessed that simply screwing spikes into their soles would garner so much attention. By the end of the 1930s, the Dassler brothers' shoe manufacture had racked up more than 400,000 German marks in sales, or about $100,000 at the time. Despite the fact that both brothers were members of the Nazi Party, the Nazis seized the Dassler factories and sent the 2 brothers to the front. At one of the factories, the Nazis even tried to start producing handheld anti-tank grenade launchers, but the factory's equipment was not suitable for the task. Adolf returned from the front after a year and immediately began making training shoes for German soldiers. But towards the end of World War II, the town of Herzogenaurach in Bavaria, where the brothers' second plant was located, was occupied by the Americans. Adolf too was a member of the Nazi Party, but as a form of indemnity, he made hockey skates for delivery to the U.S., which is what saved his position and business as compensation for the skates. Rudolf was accused of belonging to the elite Nazi SS forces and sent to a POW camp. The United States Army provided Dassler with surplus equipment, such as tents and used baseball gloves. Rudolf returned to the family business in 1946, and the brothers restarted shoe production. However, the post-war situation in Germany was marked by a lack of raw materials, problems with the international market, and at times complete isolation from it. So the brothers made the controversial but ultimately correct decision to make shoes out of the remnants of military equine equipment and paid their 47 workers with goods such as firewood and yarn. However, the 2 brothers increasingly clashed over their divergent worldviews and plans for the company's future, and they eventually decided to split up rather than continue working together. After their father passed away, the brothers quickly drifted apart. The 2 brothers, Rudolf, who took the new factory, and Adolf, who ran the old one, made a pact to never again utilize the family's trademarks or logo. While the world-famous Dassler of its day came to an end, 2 brands that are still well known to this day were born. Adidas, short for Adi Dassler, and Rudy's Puma, short for Adi Dassler. Adolf's company quickly gained popularity. Its high-quality products and innovative approach helped Adidas become one of the world's premier sports brands by the time Adolf added a third stripe to the two-stripe logo on August 18, 1949. The brothers kept quiet about the sources of their disputes until the end of their lives, which is even more surprising given that they never spoke to each other again after the collapse of the family business. As early as 1952, Adidas was trying to expand its product line beyond just sports shoes and apparel by making sports backpacks. Shoes were still the company's mainstay, but Adolf wanted to bring on a business partner to handle the clothing line. Will Sultan Reich, the owner of a textile factory, joined him as a business partner. Adolf bought 1,000 tracksuits from Sultan Reich with 3 stripes down the sides of the sleeves, and the garments were an instant hit with consumers. The two partners liked working with each other so much that soon Sultan Reich began making clothes only for Adidas. Another Adidas innovation, replaceable spikes on cleats, helped the German national soccer team win the 1954 FIFA World Cup final in Bern, while wearing Adidas One for the first time. Adidas signed its first licensing agreement with a Norwegian factory in Dorvik shortly after, and the company soon began producing its goods in France. Sales of Adidas cleats went from 800 pairs per day to 2,000 pairs per day after this victory in 1956. Adidas entered the U.S. market in the late 1950s, capitalizing on the rising popularity of sports and the lack of significant competitors at the time. By the end of the 1970s, the company owned 24 factories in 17 countries and sold approximately 200,000 pairs of shoes, clothing items, balls, and bags daily. Adidas's Telstar ball was used at the 1970 FIFA World Cup in Mexico. The company's iconic shamrock was conceptualized in 1972, the same year that Adidas was the official sportswear sponsor of the Olympic Games in Munich, and the German national soccer team won the European Championship. The 1976 Olympics saw athletes wearing Adidas cleats win 175 gold medals, 86 silver medals, and 88 bronze medals. In 1974, German soccer players wearing Adidas cleats won the World Cup for the second time. That record still stands. Adolf died on September 6, 1978, at the age of 77. His widow, Adi Dassler, took over the company's management at the time of the founder's death, in the midst of a challenging crisis, owing largely to the emergence of serious competitors. Adolf Dassler's heirs did not remain at the helm of the company for long. In 1984, Adi Dassler passed away, and in 1987, Horst Dassler passed away. In the 1980s, Nike and Reebok launched aggressive advertising campaigns in North America, and by the end of the decade, they had captured 50% of the athletic shoe market in the U.S. In 1989, the few surviving members of Adolf's family sold the struggling business for a paltry 440 million German marks. They sold it to French entrepreneur Bernard Tapie, who also owned the French soccer club Olympique de Marseille at the time, and kept only 20% of the stock for themselves. At the time, Adidas was on the verge of collapse as interest in the company waned, and Nike and Reebok rose to prominence as the world's leading sportswear manufacturers. Robert Louis Dreyfus was installed as CEO after the company was purchased by a group of French investors. Under his direction, the company's marketing budget was increased and production was relocated to Indonesia, China, and Thailand in order to take advantage of cheaper labor in those countries. This allowed the company to become competitive again by 1995, and its profits almost doubled from 1994 levels. With the purchase of Salomon Sports in 1997, a leading French manufacturer of winter sports goods, Adidas surpassed Nike as the world's second-largest sportswear producer. The resulting conglomerate was formerly known as Adidas Salomon until 2005. Overall, Adidas had a 1.5x gain in sales, with a 3.5x increase in the United States. In 1999, in celebration of the company's 50th anniversary, construction began on its current headquarters, which also included branches in Japan, Turkey, and the Netherlands. The first 2 Adidas original stores, located in Berlin and Tokyo respectively, debuted in 2001. There was a consistent upward trend in the company's popularity and growth from 2001 to 2002, both overall and in New York. In 2005, Adidas sold Salomon Sports, and used the proceeds to purchase 100% of Reebok International Limited for $3.5 billion. This acquisition increased Adidas's share of the American sporting goods market, the company's most important market, from 20% to 25%, the closest it had ever been to the market leader Nike, which controlled 35%. Adidas, to the surprise of many, only owns 2 small facilities, one in Germany and one in the United States, with the rest of the stuff being created to order at over 290 different manufacturers. A whopping 71% can be found in Asia, whereas only 18% can be found in the Americas, 6% in Africa, and 5% in Europe. China, Indonesia, and Vietnam are just a few of the Asian countries that produce a large portion of Adidas's footwear. Adidas's largest factory is located in Vietnam, and the country accounted for 11% of the company's total 2018 shoe production of 409 million pairs. Shoes make up 58% of the company's sales, and Adidas and Reebok are the 2 primary brands under which the company's products are marketed and sold. Ending the year with 5,700 employees, $24 billion in annual sales, and nearly $2 billion in net profits, the corporation has a 90-10 sales ratio. When it comes to sponsoring professional sports teams and well-known athletes, Adidas is unrivaled. Many people's go-to brand has been on the verge of extinction and bankruptcy more than once in its long existence. For Adi Dassler, sports were more important than money. Even at the age of 75, he was still playing tennis and swimming laps. Soccer cleats with interchangeable spikes are his most famous creation. It was because of Adi Dassler, a shoemaker from a little town in Germany, that this global powerhouse was founded. So that was all for today's video. We hope that you would have liked it. Drop us a comment telling us how you feel about Adidas and its rich history. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and like the video so we can bring you more content like it in the future.